What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Common Sense Living. So in today's video, I want to talk about another scenario that could really hurt financial freedom and financial independence. Now, most people are aware of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and what can happen in that space. But I want to focus on something different, more specifically, banking consolidation. And this could really hurt financial independence, financial freedom, that ability to choose. And I'm going to explain why. Now, I think that a sudden crash and more bank failures could really kick off the process of us seeing more of this banking consolidation. So ultimately, what will happen, which is pretty much what we saw in March, is these larger banks are going to end up swallowing those failed smaller banks for pennies on the dollar. So ultimately, less banks, less competition, and maybe eventually we would even see the federal government swallow up the mega banks. Now, let me dive in and talk a little bit more about how I see this playing out. Now, first off, we know that commercial real estate, it's a very fragile market right now, with many of the loans being originated around 0% interest rates or just over 0% interest rates. And as these loans roll over to be refinanced, what we're going to see is higher interest rates, which leads to higher repayment amounts that the landlords are going to have to pay back to the banks. And to make this situation, this perfect storm, even worse, is that occupancy rates in buildings have plummeted since the pandemic, and they're not really picking up at all. There's lots of cities where occupancy rates are less than 50%, and it doesn't appear that this is going to be picking up anytime soon, certainly not drastically, and maybe even those rates could be dropping as well. So we really have, again, the perfect storm in the commercial real estate market. But the one thing that's really scary about this is most of these loans, around 70%, come from small and regional banks. So as those loans come due, it's really not going to be a great scenario for them. So a few defaults could really, it could completely bankrupt one of these smaller regional banks. And it's my personal belief that as these smaller banks fail, we're going to see this banking consolidation continue where certain banks come in and they swallow them up. So from here, the control, it's going to be in the hands of less people in these banks, and ultimately it's going to be easier to enforce certain policies, certain rules, and bring about CBDCs and a cashless society. And we really think about it, it does get very scary. The possibilities are endless with redistribution of money, higher interest rates for people with lowest ESG scores, taxes on specific behavior, and so on and so on. But back to the importance of small banks, we need that competition in the marketplace. Consumers need the option to deposit their money in multiple places, not just 4 or 6 banks. That naturally drives financial freedom and allows our economic system, market capitalism, to function correctly. So while CBDs are scary and they're getting most of the attention, don't ignore that possibility that having 4 banks or 6 banks in the system, what can happen there as far as how our financial freedom and financial independence can be taken away. That's all I got for today. Appreciate everyone watching. Let me know any thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not subscribed. Thanks.